Good morning, students. So today we are going to do our next topic in chapter photosynthesis, and that is what is a light reaction. As I have discussed with you, students, that photosynthesis is a complex type of reaction, and it has two phases. That is the light phase, which is also known as the photochemical phase, and the second phase is the dark phase, and that is also known as the biosynthetic phase. So now I am going to tell you that what is a light reaction. As I have already discussed, light reactions or photochemical phase, it has certain important events that occurs during these reactions. And number one among these is light absorption. As you know that, students, in the leaves of the plant, a green pigment is present, and that green pigment is a chlorophyll. So this chlorophyll pigment, as it is of many types, so chlorophyll A here is the chief pigment which play a significant role in the absorption of light, and the light that it absorbs is actually the light corresponding to red and blue wavelength. So first event during photosynthesis is absorption of light of characteristic wavelength by chlorophyll pigment. It may be the chlorophyll A pigment and other accessory pigments. The second thing is there is splitting of water molecule. So when the light energy is received by the leaves, then one reaction takes place, that is splitting of the water molecules, in which the water molecule it breaks, and as a result of breaking of bond between the water molecules, certain amount of protons, electrons and oxygen gas is evolved. So this oxygen gas, it is later released in the atmosphere. And the next thing is formation of the high energy chemical intermediates, which may be ATPs and NADPH. As you know very well, student, ATP and NADPH, they are the energy rich molecules and they store energy in their chemical bonds. Okay, student, now I am going to tell you about the apparatus that is generally used in the process of photosynthesis. So as you know, there are two types of photosystems present or involved during the light reactions of photosynthesis, and these are photosystem 1 and photosystem 2. So every photosystem, it have several protein complexes, and these protein complexes, they have numerous type of pigments, including the chief pigment, which is chlorophyll A. As you know very well from the previous lectures, that chlorophyll A is the chief pigment, but there are other accessory pigments such as chlorophyll B, xanthophylls, carotenoids. So they are also absorbing the light corresponding to a particular wavelength, and later they hand over this light to chlorophyll, and in this way they increase the efficiency of chlorophyll A molecule. So as you know, there are two types of photosystems. So all of these protein complexes which are involved in the process of photosynthesis, which contains different type of pigments including the chief pigment, they form the light harvesting complexes. So these light harvesting complexes, they are actually made up of hundreds of pigment molecules which are bound to the proteins. Yes, student, each photosystem has all the pigment except one molecule of chlorophyll A, which forming the light harvesting system, and this is known as antenna complex. So these pigments, they help to make photosynthesis more efficient by absorbing different wavelength of light, and the single chlorophyll A molecule, they form the reaction center from this light harvesting complexes. And this reaction center, it is different in both the type of photosystem. So please take it in your mind that in photosystem 1, the reaction center which contains chlorophyll A pigment, it absorbs the light of 700 nanometer. That's why this photosystem is known as P700 or photosystem 1. And there is another photosystem in which is known as photosystem 2, and this photosystem, it absorbs light that is corresponding to 680 nanometer. So this photosystem is known as photosystem 2 or P680. Yes, student, now I am going to discuss the transport of electrons through a very special process that is known as the electron transport chain. So student, as you know, there are two photosystem. One is P700, which is photosystem 1, and another is P680, which is photosystem 2. And I have already discussed that whenever the chlorophyll molecule it receives the light of characteristic wavelength, then after trapping that light, one reaction takes place in the leaves of the plant, and that is splitting of water molecule. So during the process of splitting of water molecule, the H2O molecules of the hydrogen bonds which are present in this water molecule, it breaks. And as a result, two protons are formed, that is 2 H plus ions are formed along with 2 electrons, and half molecule of oxygen is released. So this oxygen gas is later released into the atmosphere, and the electrons which are evolved during this reaction, these electrons, they are actually present in the photosystem. So here I am telling you about the functioning of the photosystem 2, or we are here studying about the non-cyclic type of photophosphorylation, which is one type of light reaction. So student, these electrons, they are present in photosystem 2, that is P680. So as soon as this P680, it receives the light that is corresponding to 680 nanometer, and this light, it falls on these electrons, then these electrons, they get extra energy, and they comes out from their ground state and do the uphill movement and reaches the excited states or orbits. But you know that these excited states are there unstable states, so they cannot stay there for a long time. So these electrons, they later move towards various types of primary acceptors, which are actually the carrier of these electrons. They receive these electrons. These are primary acceptors. So here you can see from this diagram very well. See, this is the photosystem P680, and their electrons are present. And these electrons, they actually comes from the reaction of splitting of water. So when these electrons, they receive light, they do uphill movement. They comes in contact with primary acceptors. There are different type of primary acceptors present here. First primary acceptor is plastoquinone. So these electrons, they reaches plastoquinone and stay there for some time. But in return, this plastoquinone, it demands for certain amount of energy from these electrons. So these electrons, they release certain amount of energy to this plastoquinone and later move forward towards another primary acceptor, which is cytochrome complex. It is a type of a protein. Again, the electron, it stay here for some time and donate certain amount of energy to the cytochrome complex, and it later move towards the third electron acceptor, and that is the plastocyanin. So after staying here for some time, the electron, it ultimately lose most of its energy, and after losing its energy, it later falls into the photosystem 1, which is P700. So this P700, here electrons stay for some time because the energy is not there with the electron. So whenever the light of 700 nanometer, it is received by this photosystem 1, which is P700, it reaches the electrons which are lying over there, and these electrons, once again, they becomes excited, they move towards their higher energy states, which are their excited states, but they are the unstable state. That means the electrons, they do the uphill movement. And these electrons later, as the excited states, they are not their stable states, so they want to come again in their stable state. So in this way, they are coming in contact with so many electron acceptors. First, they come in contact with this ferredoxin proteins and stay here for some time, and later donate certain amount of energy. Then it move forward and comes in contact with NADP plus. So this NADP plus, it contains one enzyme, that is NADP plus reductase. So these electrons, they are finally gets accumulated over this NADP plus, and you know that addition of electrons is known as reduction. So these electrons, when they finally accumulate with this NADPH, then reduction of the NADP plus molecule takes place, and this NADP plus, it gets converted into NADPH. So in this way, the whole process, the electrons, they start from P680 and they finally end at NADP plus, which is an electron acceptor of the photosystem 1P700. So the pathway that is adopted by the electron here have a shape of the Z letter of English. So that's why it is known as the Z scheme of light reaction or Z scheme of photosynthesis. And as the electron, it is consumed by the NADP plus. And again, this electron cannot come in contact with photosystem 2 from where it starts its journey. That's why this type of photophosphorylation is known as the non-cyclic photophosphorylation. So student, here I have used one word, photophosphorylation. That means photo means light and phosphorylation means the synthesis of energy rich molecules. So during the course of this non-cyclic photophosphorylation, when the electrons they move from photosystem 2, that is P680, and they pass through various type of electron acceptors and reaches P700, then they lose certain amount of energy and that energy is stored in the form of ATP. This means from their journey from P680 to P700, one ATP molecule is formed. And when these electrons, they again move and start from P700 and they finally reaches NADP plus. And here NADP plus it get reduced and later changes into NADPH. So there another energy rich molecule is formed. This is the second energy rich molecule, which is NADPH. So in the non-cyclic photophosphorylation, one ATP and one NADPH are formed. So this reaction, non-cyclic photophosphorylation, it is also known as the Z scheme of photosynthesis. Yes, student, here I am going to discuss about a very important reaction that supply continuous flow of electrons to photosystem 2, that is P680, in non-cyclic photophosphorylation, and that reaction is splitting of water. So always remember in your mind that the reaction splitting of water is always associated with photosystem 2, that is P680. The student, you know that after receiving light from the sun by the chlorophyll pigment, this light, it finally falls on the water molecule, that is one of the raw material in photosynthesis. And after receiving these photons of light, the hydrogen bonds that are present in these water molecules, they get break. And as a result, 2 protons, 2 electrons, and half molecule of oxygen is produced. So this oxygen gas, it is released in the atmosphere. Okay, student, and 2 protons and 2 electrons, they are remaining with us. So one thing I want to tell you here, that whenever these electrons, they have to reach their primary acceptors, they always take the help of these protons. As 2 protons are released during the reaction, similarly 2 electrons are also released. So here what happened, this oxygen gas, it is finally released into the atmosphere, and these 2 protons and the 2 electrons, they are present in the photosystem 2, that is P680. The other story, what happened to these electrons which are present in P680, that I have already explained in the process of non-cyclic photophosphorylation. So student, this is the reaction. This is H2O molecule, and when it receives a characteristic wavelength of light, then the hydrogen bonds present between the H2O molecule, it gets break, and 2 protons, 2 electrons, and half molecule of oxygen, it is released. This half molecule of oxygen, it finally enters into the atmosphere. One thing I want to tell you, that the water splitting complex, it is always associated with photosystem 2, that is P680. So that's why we should not be wondered why there is a continuous supply of electrons in the photosystem 2, that is P680. It is only because of this very important reaction, and that is splitting of the water molecule. Okay, student, and where this reaction takes place, so this reaction actually takes place on the inner membrane of the thalloid. So thalloid, as you know, thalloid are the special membranous structure present in the chloroplast. So inside the inner membrane of the thalloid, this reaction, very important reaction, which is responsible for continuous supply of electrons to photosystem 2, P680, it takes place. So this reaction is actually associated with the inner side of the membrane of the thalloid. Student, here again I have show you the reaction, the classical equation of photosynthesis. That 6 molecules of carbon dioxide, it reacts with 6 molecules of water. In the presence of sunlight, it gives a C6H12O6 plus 6 molecules of oxygen. It is released. And during the photolysis of water molecule, 3 species we obtain, that is oxygen molecule, protons and electrons. And these electrons, they later do the movements, and during the movement through the electron transport chain, these electrons, they release certain amount of energy, and that energy is stored in the energy rich bonds of the ATP molecule. Student, here I want to make you clear that what do we mean by the term phosphorylation. As you know very well, student, living organisms, they have the ability to extract energy from the energy storing molecules. And you know that these energy storing molecules are actually ATP and NADPH, and they store the energy in the chemical bonds of these molecules. So whenever the various metabolic reactions which are occurring in the living system, they demand for energy, then these molecules, which are energy rich molecules, ATP and NADPH, they get oxidized, and as a result of their oxidation, the energy is released, and that energy is later used by the living system. So these special substances, which are ATPs, they always store their energy in their chemical bonds. So what is phosphorylation? Phosphorylation is the process through which ATP is synthesized by the cell. Not only ATP, but other energy rich molecules such as NADPH or other important molecules which store energy, they are synthesized. That process is known as phosphorylation. So photophosphorylation means the particular reaction, which is phosphorylation, that is synthesis of the energy rich molecules. It takes place in the presence of light. So photophosphorylation, it is the synthesis of ATP from ADP and inorganic phosphate or other energy rich molecules in the presence of light. So here I am going to show you the diagram of the cyclic photophosphorylation. As we have discussed much about non-cyclic photophosphorylation, so there is another type of photophosphorylation, that is the cyclic photophosphorylation. The photosystem which is related with this cyclic photophosphorylation, it is P700. You know that P700 is that photosystem which actually receive the light that is corresponding to wavelength 700 nanometer. So as you know that when electrons, they are present in this photosystem, that is photosystem 1 P700, they receive energy from the sunlight in the form of photons, and these photons, they fall over these electrons. Then these electrons, they receive extra energy and they do the uphill movement. And during this uphill movement, they reaches their excited states, which are generally their unstable state. So they again want to be in their stable states. And for this purpose, they come in contact of various types of primary acceptors. First, they come in contact with ferredoxin, and this ferredoxin is a protein which stays the electron for some time and receives certain amount of energy from them. Later, these electrons, they come in contact with cytochrome complexes, and here again it stays for some time and loses certain amount of energy. And the last, they come in contact with plastocyanin and stay there and almost lose most of its energy, and again it falls into the photosystem 1, that is P700. So what is the common thing about this cyclic photophosphorylation? That the electron, it starts its journey from photosystem 1 P700, and finally they also, after passing through so many electron acceptors, later they reaches the same place, that is P700. And in this way, the electron, it actually doing its journey in the form of a circular motion. So that's why it is known as cyclic photophosphorylation. One very important thing about this cyclic photophosphorylation is that here no NADP plus is present as an electron acceptor, and also the NADP plus reductase enzyme is also absent. So that's why during the course of the entire journey, only ATP molecules are synthesized in cyclic photophosphorylation. The second thing is that this reaction, it always takes place in the stroma lamellae membranous system of the chloroplast. You know that two type of membranous system is present in chloroplast. One is the membrane of the thalaphoid or the grana, and second one is the membrane of the stromal lamellae, which connects the adjacent granules. So always remember, cyclic photophosphorylation is always related with stromal lamellae. It takes place inside the stromal lamellae. All right, and non-cyclic photophosphorylation, it always takes place inside the membrane of the thalaphoid or inside the membrane of the grana, you can say. Yes, student, here I want to tell you the differences between photosystem 1 and photosystem 2. Student, always remember photosystem 1. It lies on the outer surface of the thalaphoid. That is P700. It always lies at the outer surface of the thalaphoid. That means it is related with the stromal lamellae membrane. So photosystem 2, which is P680, it always lies on the inner surface of the thalaphoid. So remember, photosystem 2, that is P680, is present inside the surface of the thalaphoid membrane, whereas photosystem 1, that is P700, it is lies outside the surface of the thalaphoid. Second very important thing is, molecular oxygen is not evolved in photosystem 1, because the reaction which is splitting of water, it is related with photosystem 2, that is P680. So during that photolysis of water, molecular oxygen evolves, so it is related with photosystem 2, that is P680. And third very important thing is, photosystem 1, the reaction center is P700. And in photosystem 2, the reaction center is P680 according to the wavelength of light that they receive. Then in photosystem 1, as you know that, in photosystem 1, that is P700. Alright student, photosystem 1, P700. Here NADPH molecule is formed as an energy rich molecule. Whereas in photosystem 2, that is P680. So here NADPH molecule is not formed, only ATPs are formed. Then in photosystem 1, that is P700, both cyclic and non-cyclic photophosphorylation. It participates in both cyclic as well as non-cyclic photophosphorylation. As you know that in non-cyclic photophosphorylation, photosystem 1 and 2 both are present. And in cyclic photophosphorylation, also photosystem 1 P700 is present. So P700 is common to both non-cyclic as well as cyclic photophosphorylation. But if we are talking about photosystem 2, so photosystem 2, it participates only in non-cyclic photophosphorylation. It is not the part of cyclic photophosphorylation. The sixth difference is, photosystem 1, it always receive electrons from photosystem 2. Because you know that photosystem 2, which is P680, they have a continuous supply of electron from the reaction splitting of water. So there is no shortage of electrons in photosystem 2, that is P680. But photosystem 1, it receives its electron from photosystem 2. Last point is, photosystem 1, it is not related with photolysis of water. Because I have already told you that the splitting of water molecule, it is always related with the photosystem 2, that is P680. Yes, student, I have already discussed this process, non-cyclic photophosphorylation. As I have told you that non-cyclic photophosphorylation, it always takes place inside the membrane of the thalaphoid, or you can say in other words, inside the membrane of the grana. So two photosystems are present, P680 and P700. So P680 receive electrons from the reaction, that is photolysis of water. And these electrons, when they receive the characteristic wavelength of light, that is corresponding to 680 nanometer, they do uphill movement, and they comes in contact with various types of primary receptors such as plastoquinone, cytochrome complexes, plastocyanin, and at each step they lose certain amount of energy, and that energy is later stored in the form of ATP. And finally, when it loses most of its energy, then these electrons, they finally fall into photosystem 1, that is P700, and when 700 nanometer light, it reaches to these electrons, they again do uphill movement, and in order to comes in their ground states or stable state, they again comes in contact with various electron receptors, and in this way they comes in contact with ferredoxin, then comes in contact with different type of electron receptor, and in the last they have a contact with NADP plus. And this NADP plus contains an enzyme NADP reductase. So this NADP reductase, they finally helps to accumulate these electrons. They want to consume these electrons. So this addition of electrons is actually known as reduction, and this NADP plus molecule, it finally reduces to NADPH. So in this way, as the electrons, they start their journey from P680, but they later accumulate at NADP plus, which is the last electron acceptor of P700, and they get consumed. So that's why it is known as non-cyclic photophosphorylation. Okay, student, all account which I have discussed with you that I have written in these slides, please go through them. So this diagram I have already explained. This is another diagram. Here you can see the movement of the electrons through the different type of photosystems and the different types of electron acceptors where they are present. And you know that from photosystem 2 to photosystem 1, there is a synthesis of one ATP molecule. And from photosystem 1 to NADP plus, there is a synthesis of another energy-rich molecule, that is NADPH2. Okay, student, this process I have already discussed, cyclic photophosphorylation. So again, I am repeating, in cyclic photophosphorylation, there is only one photosystem, and that is photosystem 1, that is P700. So as I have already told you that this photosystem 1, it receives electron from photosystem 2, which actually receives electron from splitting of water molecule. So the electrons which are present in the photosystem 1, P700, when they receive the light of that is corresponding to 700 nanometer, they become excited because of this extra energy, and they do the uphill. And later they comes in contact with various types of electron acceptors, and at each step they release certain amount of energy. And in this way, in cyclic photophosphorylation, as no NADP plus is present, so during the course of its entire journey, as the electron starts its journey from P700 and again it reaches P700, so ATP molecules are synthesized in photophosphorylation, that is of cyclic type, and no NADPH is found. And second thing that you must remember in your mind, that this cyclic photophosphorylation, it always takes place in the stroma lamellae part of the chloroplast, which is another membranous structure which connects the adjacent granules. So here you can see the diagram. So this is the photosystem 1, that is P700, containing so many electrons. So when the sunlight corresponding to 700 nanometer, it reaches these photosystems, light harvesting complexes, then the electrons present in them, they get excited and they comes in contact with various types of electron acceptors. These may be ferredoxin, these may be plastoquinone, these may be cytochrome complexes, then plastocyanine. And after losing their energy at each step, the electron finally, when almost lose all of its energy, it reaches the this photosystem, that is P700. So electron starts its journey from P700, and again it reaches or ends its journey at P700. And during the whole course of its journey, one ATP molecule is formed from the ATP and inorganic phosphate. So that's why this type of photophosphorylation is known as cyclic photophosphorylation. Okay, student, this is another diagram of cyclic photophosphorylation. P700 is the photosystem. Primary receptors are ferredoxin, plastoquinone, cytochrome complexes, plastocyanine. And finally, the electron reaches P700 again. So the energy that is released at each step, that helps in the synthesis of ATP molecules. Okay, students, see the difference between cyclic photophosphorylation and non-cyclic photophosphorylation. So must remember, in cyclic photophosphorylation, only one photosystem is involved, that is photosystem 1, P700. And in non-cyclic photophosphorylation, both photosystems are present. Photosystem 1, that is P700, and photosystem 2, that is P680. So cyclic photophosphorylation, water is not required. Here in non-cyclic photophosphorylation, photolysis of water is required because it supplies electrons, and which is very much required for the initiation of reaction. So in cyclic photophosphorylation, oxygen is not involved, and in non-cyclic photophosphorylation, oxygen is involved. Then in cyclic photophosphorylation, NADPH is not synthesized, as NADP plus reductase enzyme is absent. Whereas in non-cyclic photophosphorylation, NADPH is also formed along with ADPs. So in cyclic photophosphorylation, it is used to produce additional ATP in order to meet cell energy demands. So not only one ATP molecule is formed, whereas another additional ATP molecules are also formed. Whereas in non-cyclic photophosphorylation, products can be used for the light independent reactions, that is the dark reactions. Later these ATP and NADPs, they are used for the biosynthetic or the dark phase of the photosynthesis. Okay, student, I am quite hopeful that the concepts are clear to you. And please revise your chapter. If you go through any doubt, then send it to me. So that's all in today's lecture, student. Have a nice day.